Welcome back to Knights HQ podcast, the official podcast of the NRLW Newcastle Knights. My name's Jay Nelson. With me as always is Lavender Marcus By. Lav, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm very tired. It's been a big
Olympic
week.
spirit is just big in your household at the moment.
It's huge in my household, but I feel like I've not slept more than like 2 hours in a week.
There's been a lot of sport.
So much sport.
Saturday and Sunday this weekend with the NRLW back, NRL, Olympics, AFL as well. Actually, the Sydney Swans are never going to have you back.
Oh, yeah.
The two games you've been to, they have gotten beaten quite badly.
And you know what was the worst?
What?
My dad spent all Friday night. He took my mum down to the game. So Friday night they sat down, they had dinner, and he explained every single rule of AFL to her.
Yeah. Which
was so funny because I was like, oh yeah, they get a point if they miss. She goes, shut up. No, they don't. I'm like, they do. But she studied only to watch the Swans get absolutely smacked.
Yeah. So do you reckon you'll get a call back? Do you reckon they're going to work out that maybe you're the possible bad luck charm?
To be fair, out of the 3 games that I went to, we lost one by a point. We won one by like 100.
Yeah.
So it could go either way.
Okay. So we're not a complete, it's not a complete.
But I do think I may be cursed, so I'm not going to a Knights game for the rest of the season.
Well, no, come on.
And
surely you're not bringing the curse to Mac Jones. No way.
Nah.
And it's not an official curse yet.
No. It's an AFL curse.
Yeah. AFL only curse.
Yeah.
Correct. Anyway, back to rugby league. We have a special guest on today.
We sure do. The one and only.
Our NRLW head coach, Mr. Ben Jeffries.
How's it going?
Very good, thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome. We're here. We're doing it. NRLW is on. Round 1 has happened.
And what a round it was for us, at least.
How was it like over the box, mate?
Yeah, pretty intense. I'm pretty controlled.
That finish there was a bit full on.
Oh, absolutely. I think Yaz Clydesdale's face at the end sort of told the story. But yeah, it was pretty intense. I'm pretty controlled, but like in the box from the 4 walls and there's no one really around me, I do lose it a little bit. But poor old Beck, she's on the cans on the sideline and she copped a bit of an earful. But
that's to be expected from a head coach that's passionate about his club.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but overall, come out of that pretty much unscathed injury-wise, other than Grace copping a bit of a HIA, basically delayed concussion, unfortunately. So she'll be out for the next 11 days. But how they performed on the night, I think they had a lot of expectation on themselves. Yeah, more than anything, and how they defended their line for time after time. They made me proud as a coach, but then they should be proud of themselves as well. And they've set a real high standard going forward from round 1. Yeah,
I think the 2 tries that the Roosters scored, I think showed a lot about how well we defended for 2 reasons. One, they knew they couldn't go down straight through the front door. So they were kicking the ball, they were trying to shift to the edges, and we were fatigued from tackling so much. So, you put those 2 things together, that's kind of where, a chip and chase and a few other things are kind of, the bounce of the ball, if it goes their way, it's hard to keep that intensity up the way they were for the whole game. Yeah. So, rightly so. They scored 2 tries off kicks, which is one in a good sign. We talked about not letting them through the front door, which is another thing as well, and that's what we need to be better at this season going forward. That's something we have looked at. Yeah. But overall, how they performed and turned up for each other, that's the most pleasing part. Yeah.
Who was most surprising for you? First game as head coach?
Oh, I didn't realise how much work CJ did. Yeah. Oh. So in the end, we didn't plan to play her 55 minutes, but she just kept turning up, and then our interchange plan sort of went out the back door a little bit. We looked really fatigued because we had to do so much defending, and this is what happens when you defend your own line. But I think CJ's just resilience just kept turning up. When we did the review and I started looking at individual performances, I actually had to compliment. I said, CJ, I didn't realise how much work you did. So, well done on that. And obviously having Origin experience, Jillaroos experience has put her in good stead for that. And, so CJ, there was heaps of positives.
It's like picking your favourite child, right?
And
they all did well. Yeah.
Absolutely, and like Jessie, some of her one-on-one defence, because obviously halfbacks aren't known for defending; they're more about attacking. But when she's protected her inside shoulder many a times and saved tries. And there was what we had.
She made the tackle on Millie, right?
Yes.
Is that Jessie? Yeah, that was one-on-one. Like, that's huge,
Yeah, so it was, I think there was about 3 pitches very similar to that with Jessie. Shanice, her kick chase is outstanding, things like that. So they all played their role during the night for sure. That's why they're all rolling up again next week against Canberra.
You said that the plan went out the window a little bit. How often does that actually happen?
Yeah, as a coach, you plan for the unexpected.
Yeah.
Like
because I know you have an interchange plan and you have things like certain amount of minutes for certain players.
Yep.
Obviously, that's because you know their level of fitness, how much work they're doing, if they're in the middle, if they're out, all that sort of stuff. But as you said, if someone's like CJ
smashing
performing at a higher level and you've just got to go with it, is that something that happens every game or?
Absolutely. So I think as a coach, you've got to be flexible and adaptable, and that's what you expect from your players. So we gave them an interchange plan, so I'm quite a transparent coach. They understand what their role is. Hopefully, they know.
So
that.
no one's wondering why they're coming off and all that sort of stuff.
So CJ's there going.
So So
I want to sit down. Give me a break.
But that's what it was. Is with CJ, she looked better, as in she looked like she had more energy and things like that, and she was fronting up and tying in when the ball went away from her. Whereas other players were just gassed. And that's sometimes it's about the lead in. Have they played the game before they got there? And just on the night, have they targeted them and things like that? So you have to be adaptable, and the players have to be adaptable too around, have some flexibility. So, for example, Grace, she wasn't supposed to come on till the 50th minute.
Yeah.
But 6th minute, up you go, Grace.
That's right.
And then Pearl Lace, she had to go to the 5'8" position because G went off.
Yeah.
So... yeah, and that's what we train for sometimes, and they just got to learn to adapt on the run. So, and you're only better for the experience too, because as the season gets on, other things are going to be thrown at you. What resilience, what barriers have we overcome to support that?
Yeah. I had to ask you something, and obviously, look, you don't want to give away too many secrets, but when Meeks does a short side raid, is she looking at the numbers on the defensive line and making that decision on the fly, or is that something that you guys
100%
practice? Or
we practice it. We play a lot of short-sided games here.
Because Shanice is disallowed. Yeah, was that she summed up the numbers, double pump, put her in. Obviously, her shoelace went, and then the try on the other side to Abigail. Correct. Same thing. Is that just her? Yeah, looking at the defensive line and going off instinct.
That's something we, I suppose, coach.
Yeah,
you're looking for numbers, space, sort of thing. That's something we do coach at this club, and it's all going for the junior grades now too. Some players have natural instinct, so we want players to play off their natural instinct. We give them the I suppose the cues of when to go down there and when not to go down there. So, so that's what Meeks is good at.
Yeah,
and then. Obviously, if they overcompensate, say the short side, then we should come back to the open side.
Correct, because someone will have an overlap on the other side. Yeah,
correct. So this is what we try and teach our players, and keep looking up instead of looking at the ruck all the time. They've got to look at the whole defensive line, the whole spectrum.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah.
Moving forward to this week, we've got the Raiders currently top of the table, which I personally did not see coming. We played them in the trial in Wagga. What can we take away from that heading into this game?
When we went to Wagga, we obviously wanted to play well. There was obviously competition for places and things like that going on.
Was our starting side for that first 20 or so minutes was pretty much what it is now? Was theirs the same in Wagga as what it will be?
Yeah, pretty close. Pretty close. And like Bortho and I, obviously coach of Raiders, we spoke beforehand. There's like a bit of a gentleman's agreement where we're going to play X players for a certain amount of players and things like that. So as you would have seen,
you want everyone to come through unscathed and get what they want out of it. Yeah,
absolutely. Exactly right. So highly competitive, but then full well knowing we've got a 9-week season to come, coming forward. So the idea was to play our, I suppose, perceived best 13 first 40, and then start to filter in the development players and the players that are actually trying to fight for competition for places as well, a bit more football. So,
unreal.
What we took out of that, look, with the Raiders, we know they're going to start well.
Yep.
So they don't beat themselves. They're a high completion rate team. They do the little things. They actually like shifting the ball quite early and things like that.
Yeah.
So they actually like going coast to coast.
Yeah.
So we've
which is funny because people think it's their packers, their strength.
Yeah.
It kind of seems like a Canberra thing, right? Like even with the NRL as well.
Yeah.
Like their forward pack is always something that they're gritty, they play hard, they don't give up.
Yeah.
It seems to be sort of a thing in their DNA, you know?
Yeah, well, they're one of their captains, Mima Taufa. She plays 70 minutes in the pack and just is a meter eater. And so she'll be at the forefront of everything. And then you've got, Z, who's coming off the back of an Origin series. Basically, she's a focal point for him. But in all honesty, it's more about us going down there and doing a job. So we have to be really diligent with our prep. Understand who's playing against who on each side of the field, and just making sure we're turning up physically ready to play.
Yeah. The girls have actually mentioned, and this is every time we've asked this question, they've said they physically feel fitter than they ever have. Is that something, and like even the session the other night, that drill you got them doing with the having to go back to the pole and come back into the defensive line and stuff like that. It seems like a lot of that stuff is very, very deliberate, and the drills that you're doing are very, I guess, decision-making under fatigue, which is probably something that happens a lot more in our league now. The game's getting faster. Yep. It's quick, it's fast, it's and when people are under fatigue, that's where they or throw a lazy arm or do whatever. Is this sort of what you're looking at doing?
Absolutely. So what we asked the players to do is do a certain amount of work before they got here.
Yeah.
We couldn't make them because it's a real touchy thing in the female space to have inactive period and active periods. Yeah. So I can't say you've got to come to training at this in certain times of it. So basically they had to buy into what we're trying to do. Thankfully, Erin and I believe they did. Yeah. So what's transpired then is they don't have to do all this running, meaning monotonous running. Yeah. We've been able to play a lot of short-sided games where they are under fatigue, but their work rate per minute in these games is higher than actually what it is in games. Yeah, so when they get into game scenarios, it's
almost a break.
Well, if the heat gets turned up, we can go with it, or we can turn the heat up.
It's not foreign to you because you've been there and you've been doing that sort of stuff.
So if we want to turn the heat up, for example, and they haven't trained like that, well, in the Melbourne Storm is a perfect example. Yeah. Understanding that Melbourne Storm don't have too many drills, but the intensity they train at is high level, and when they turn the heat up,
no one can match them.
No one can match them.
Yeah.
So whatever your habit is under that fatigue becomes your fallback. So if you've got bad habits, you're under fatigue, that's what you'll fall back into.
That's pretty cool to think that they're, it's getting to that point where, like, because people always say you can't really, like, being in the game, it's always different, it's always more intense, it's always more, and I guess, like, coaches and trainers of that are trying to make that gap smaller from what you're doing through the week to actually being out there. And then, as you said, it's not foreign to you. You're not panicking under pressure. No. It's something that you've done before, and then you can make better decisions. Yeah.
So the other thing is too, when they're playing those short-sided games, they've actually got the ball in hand. So they actually don't know they're running for the sake of running. They're actually making decisions under fatigue, and their skill level's going up as well. Yeah. Because you don't have them for so long. Like, you don't have 12, 16 weeks of preseason, you have 7 weeks. Yeah. And this preseason was hard to explain to players that you were going to have a trial game for Harveys in week 1, week 2, couple weeks off, then the trial game for Canberra. So it was so indifferent. And now... And
you add the Origin girls into that as well, yeah.
Correct. So we didn't see the Origin players really until week 5, which was leading into the trial game. So it's been a really indifferent but pleasing pre-season. Obviously pre-season's gone now, but because they did some of the work they were asked to do, they were in better shape, which made them fast track them a little bit. So hopefully that puts us in good stead going forward.
We want to talk a little bit about yourself, but before we do that, I do have one question. Yeah. So we had Yaz on. We asked Yaz, who's the player to watch? Like, who's someone that she's, looking at? She gave us the hot tip. She was like, I think Georgia Roche is going to be really good this year. She's had a year to settle into Australia, and we've talked about it a few times, Lav.
And we asked the other girls.
Yeah, correct.
Everyone, she's the hot tip.
Yeah, 100%. And when we went to Wagga, I'm talking about Wagga playing the Raiders, like you could just tell her confidence is at a different spot now. I think she feels like she's in the team. She's settled in, especially with ball running too. She was a legitimate threat with the ball in her hand. She wasn't just, trying to go at the back to Tamika all the time. And I felt like when we were on that edge with her and Tamika on that same side of the ruck, it was a real problem for people because George is a legitimate threat with the ball in her hands now, because I feel like she's got a bit more confidence to run and be a bit more of a ball runner. Would you agree with that? Would you say that's something that she's sort of grown? Like, it's always been in her game, obviously, but now...
Yeah, I think because she came late too last year, so... and not ever played in NRLW and then coming late, she probably would have felt, where do I sit? Whereas now that she's played nearly a whole season, she played a whole season pretty much, and then won the grand final, she actually feels like she belongs.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's really important for, I suppose, halves, me being the ex-half, understand that you belong.
Yeah.
So you got these two established halves now, Jessie and Georgia. The challenge for them every week is to be at their standard. Yeah. So obviously we've got some development players in Jade and Evie coming behind them. And they've got to be patient, and do their time and be ready for if there is something happen, like HIAs or injuries or things like that, or form drop. But the challenge for Jessie and Georgia is to be at their standard every week, because their standard is high.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. No, it is. It's funny for a half, because you're the one that's sort of getting the cattle where they've got to go.
Yeah.
You really do have to own that space. And there's, it'd be a huge advantage or disadvantage if you weren't either side of the fence of being, not confident in yourself or having a bit of imposter syndrome type thing. Yeah. No, that's an interesting point.
It's important, like, for Georgia and Jessie to work together, but also when you have someone like Yaz Klose outside you, that's a dream come true for a half. Yeah. You tell her to hit a hole, she hits it. And she will protect her in defence as well. Like, she's one of them players, and I always said my back row was always my right-hand man. Basically, he looks after you in defence, basically.
The bodyguard, I've heard, is what it's called.
But you tell her or him to run into that space, they do it. They run for a brick wall for you. So you have that relationship, and it's really important in teams, in good teams. So, and when you have other players around you, like, we've got two really good hookers. Like, they're established.
Yeah, Nita and Hugo.
And I actually think they've got a real new lease of life too, because like, I'm advocating for the run more. I don't actually think they run enough, and
Nita's a pocket rocket.
Oh and like we're playing all these short-sided games, and Nita's going. The girls are calling it Nita's game because she's jumping out of her skin. This is like she's a kid again, and that's what you want. You want them to go to training, loving training, because it's not a chore to them. It's like, I want to go to training. It's a different mindset.
Yeah, no, very good.
So we've spoken lots about the girls. Let's talk about you. How does it feel to be back in Newey? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been, I suppose, 99 was the last time I played here as a Jersey flag player, and then I think it was 2013 I coached Statutory ball. So that was my first introduction to, I suppose, elite pathway coaching. So, I'm loving being back. I'm around family. My wife and two kids still live in North Queensland, so they've got some educational stuff to finish off, and Daniel's still working for the Queensland government, who's got a bit of long service coming up, so she didn't want to give that up. So but overall, just felt straight at home. Like, I must admit, I got thrown straight in the deep end with the pathways, but that's why, one of the reasons why I came back was to be around the junior space. I got a huge development background. I love being around the junior space. So, and then to link back up with Pari as well, like, he was one of the first people so him and Paul Green were actually the first ones to employ me as a full-time coach. Yeah,
gotcha.
So there's a bit of a link there.
Full circle.
But understanding that it's a one-team town, which is awesome, because you get that support.
Which mirrors North Queensland a lot, yeah.
Exactly right. And then you got a big area to cover as well, the Hunter region, and up the north and down the south coast and down to the central coast there. But it was just the right fit, and it was a different challenge. I spoke about this today to a journalist around North Queensland. Was a different challenge, establishing a new franchise and trying to build a squad to probably peak, in 3 years. Yeah. Whereas this one, they're ready to go. It's just like, can we challenge them a different way to be successful again?
I was going to ask that. You obviously inherited a team that won back-to-back premierships. What was the pressure like, and sort of what was your strategy coming into a team that is already so cohesive? Obviously, we haven't lost.
Oh, we lost one game against North Queensland last year
I was
Belmore.
I was saying, yeah.
Some coach on the other end, he got us good.
I was going to say we haven't lost many players. We also haven't lost many games other than the one game that we lost that you coached against us. But how's the pressure been, and like how do you think it differs from being up in North Queensland?
Oh, you've sort of had a side out of mind up in North Queensland. But I've said this all along. If it didn't matter if it was myself or someone else took this role on, it was the same challenge. It wouldn't have changed. It's like it comes with the territory. You're back-to-back premiers. The challenge is, can you do it again? So we've just got to tweak things slightly a little bit, like with individuals, making sure they're diligent with everything on and off the field, buying into what we're trying to achieve, not just now but long term as well. The game is evolving.
Yeah.
That's no secret. Anyone can understand the game is evolving, and it's going to keep evolving and evolving until basically they go full time, and then it'll go off again.
Yeah,
it'll go again, because you see it in cricket, you see it in AFL. It's more so cricket.
Yeah.
It's like chalk and cheese now. So you know where the game's going to go, and you've got to be fitter, faster, stronger, and that's what we're trying to do. But I'm pretty blessed. We've had some old staff return, and then we've had some new staff, and then like Aaron, for example.
Berkey.
Yeah. So Berkey's obviously back on board. He's like been a trusted personnel in this space, and for me, it was to come in and learn what was successful.
Yeah.
But then add my, I suppose, flavour to it, and get the staff and the players to evolve and take that on board as well. So it's been good, in all honesty. So
I'm glad you said that, because Lav and I were like speculating a couple of weeks ago about like, well, yeah, see, like Ben's come in, he's inherited the team, our core's stuck together, so he's probably just going to leave that alone and then sort of put his own flavour on top of and like that's exactly what you said.
Literally, I'm like, did you listen and just like paraphrase exactly what?
Because imagine if they're like, oh, that's definitely not what I was doing. Then I was
like, I've actually changed everything. I can't believe you didn't realise.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Why would I come in and change something it's already worked? My role was just to, I suppose, try and bring in some playing personnel if it needed to.
Yeah.
Obviously, Grace and Izzy fitted the bill on that front, and we had pretty much the whole roster signed anyway.
Yeah.
But then I'm big on empowering people to do their job. So with the staff, it's like, you got the blank canvas. You tell me what you think will work.
Yeah.
So Erin's, I think, evolved herself, and she's helping me evolve as well.
To let everyone know, who's Erin?
So Erin's our head of performance, Erin Wilson.
Yep.
So she does a lot of the work behind the scenes. I get to be at the forefront all the time, being the head coach, but Erin and I work hand in hand. So she's the one.
So we're talking about all that fitness stuff earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
basically, we've been giving you credit for that, but it's actually.
So basically, no word of lie. Like I have my objectives of what I want to get out of football content, and then she goes, well, we need to do this, so they're ready to peak at this game and this week, and
cool.
Sort of. So our whole 20 weeks is mapped out.
Yeah.
So I
want to win, and she goes, this is how we'll do it.
Yeah. So it's a lot of trust. You got to trust everyone that's playing their part, because you can't have your finger on the pulse all the time. So you've got physios, you've got doctors, you've got head of performances, trainers, all that sort of thing. So I'm big on just empowering them. If they need to come see me about problem solving, something like that, that's part of my role as well. But I also want to create this legacy around coaching too, around that's why I brought Beck Young in as well. Like, she's a female, she's done a lot with the female game in this area, but also she's nurtured a lot of these players, Hannah and Jessie and the likes. So I want to try and create a succession plan going forward on that front as well. So
for people that don't know, you are from Foster.
Correct.
Just north. Is the Recce the greatest place in the world?
Well, I don't know. Back
it is a little bit south, more towards like Elizabeth and Boomerang and stuff, but the same area, right?
But but back in the day, I reckon it was a place called the Ant Ranch.
Oh, really? That was the one?
No, I honestly never visited too much, because every time there was an 18th or that sort of thing, I was away playing football.
Yeah, playing footy, of course.
So, and I wouldn't go out.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, so yeah, the recce gets a run, but back in the day it was the Amaranth, but yeah,
It's a good spot, beautiful spot.
Foster's a great place to grow up. Gave me everything I needed as a kid.
Yeah.
My mum and dad still live there. I love going back home.
Have you gone back since you've been?
Yeah. So a couple of times throughout pre-season, and obviously when I first came back and things like that. But they come down every week as well, my mum and dad. So they've been with me all the way, basically, and they've ridden every roller coaster that happened as well. So
a lot of your playing career was over in England. If people might not know that. So you spent a lot of time in the Super League. What was that experience like? I know you said you played your junior footy here at the Knights, and then in the NRL you went to the Dragons for a bit. Do you know, looking sort of playing in both comps, what was the thing about going to the Super League and you were there for so long, that kind of was the thing that got you over there, and what were the differences that you saw?
Yeah, well, probably the fast track. So I went from here to St George, and then went to the Tigers. And basically it came down to a decision. I had 3 years in England or 1 year to stay in Australia.
Gotcha.
And I walked out of a meeting with Tim Sheens with clarity. He basically said to me, and I suppose read the signs, that you're valued at the Tigers to stay, but going to England might help you.
Yeah, gotcha.
I was a late bloomer or late developer, socially, emotionally, or everything. I was a kid never leaving home.
Yeah.
So when I went to England after the conversation with Tim, he basically said that he thought it would help my development, and I never looked back. It was the right time, right place for me. I fell in love with England, around the lifestyle. It wasn't as high pressure, meaning media all around you, all that sort of thing. So basically, I fell in love with the England game when I was young. I love watching Kangaroo Tours, love watching the Challenge Cup, and I just thought I really want to go there and play. I went there at 22, didn't come home until I was 32.
Yeah.
So there was times where there was a chance to come back and play NRL, and in the end, I basically said it was the right fit for me. So my 2 kids were born there.
Yeah.
So Danielle's from Foster, my wife. So we both.
That's great. Did you meet?
Yeah. So
in Foster.
Yeah. So and basically came to a conversation around, I'm going to England. I want you to come, but if you don't want to come, I understand. You got to leave your family behind, and rest is history.
Yeah.
So the 2 kids were born there, so they had little Pommy accents when they come back. But, technically, they're Pommies, but they're citizens of England now, so they can actually travel when they.
That's handy.
That's good.
Yeah.
So they got their passports when they want it, things like that. So, so I fell in love with England, didn't come back, and it was my last year of football when I decided to give it up, basically, and come back home, back to the Hunter. It was Mick Potter that said, you thought about coaching.
Yeah.
And I said, I am doing my certificate as we speak, and so he obviously seen something in me, and full circle too around that when I was coaching back in 2020 at the All-Stars, that was her last All-Stars.
Oh, there you go.
And I said to Beck, same conversation. I said, have you thought about coaching? Because I actually think you can coach.
Yeah.
She was coaching, helped me coach within that space. So it's like you can't explain it sometimes, some of the things that happen in your life and where those little moments take you.
Sorry, love.
Do you reckon there's a desire to go back to England eventually? Do you see yourself ever going over there? Obviously, we don't want to lose you, but...
No, I'll never say never. Like in elite sport and in this world, you can never, for me...
Opportunities pop up everywhere.
Opportunities pop up everywhere, and like reality is... coaching is a volatile industry. There's no getting around it. Like as soon as you can accept that and just understand that, and then put your best foot forward day in, day out, and do your best, and then you never know where things take you. So I've always been someone who's been open-minded, especially when I moved to England and had that career over there. I wouldn't say never, but you don't know where life takes you.
So it was Wakefield and Bradford that you played for, but you played for them both twice, right? And went back and forth a couple of times. What was that like? Because that's kind of a unique situation, yeah?
Yeah, it was. So obviously I created some good relationships at both clubs and was able to move back and forth, and there was multiple reasons for multiple times. So first time I was at Wakefield for 5 years, I think it was, and then what happened was I needed a challenge. Yeah. I actually went to Bradford not knowing where I stood. I knew where I stood in the group, obviously being a full-time footballer, but I actually had to try and get myself in front of 2 internationals, Yeston Harris and Paul Deacon.
Yeah, gotcha.
So I was trying to make my mark in a different way and be at a bigger club. And then I went back to Wakefield, but then they got put in some financial trouble.
Yeah.
So what happens in England, if they get put in financial trouble, they start to, I suppose, remove players. Not remove players, but players can move on and things like that. So in the end, what happened was I went to Bradford, and that's where Mick Potter picked me up.
Yep.
And then the last 2 years under Mick Potter, I learnt so much.
Yeah.
In the 2 years of him.
And that was the thing that got you into coaching. So
yeah.
It's crazy, man.
So everything happens for a reason, and like you just got to have an open mind sometimes. And when you're young, you can only look. You've got this massive tunnel vision, but as you get older and you mature and things like that, you see things so much differently.
Yeah.
As someone who it was the sort of back half of your playing career that got you the tap on the shoulder to say you should get into coaching, is there anyone in our team that you see the potential in?
You reckon Yazzie could be a coach?
Oh,
or she's too intense.
I reckon.
He's like, don't ask me.
I reckon Yaz would be the Craig Bellamy.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm not sure if you could hear on the video. If you watched the trial game, she was going off on the side. I could hear. I'm in the box and she's louder than me. So.
Like Yaz is the most lovely person ever, but as soon as she goes in those white lines, it's
like
it's
game on,
man.
Highly competitive, but
you need that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need that.
So we've had some players be assistants / mentors this year.
Or Hannah coached.
Hannah was head coach at Luce Fiala. I think she got a real opener to herself as a coach, and then when you start having the conversations around you're playing, not playing, like it
that's
tests
tough,
you.
man. Yeah.
So. Obviously, I was behind the scenes trying to help a little bit, assist in trying to help construct those conversations and things like that for us. So no one can do it for you. But I suppose every experience you have, it's more comfortable with it. It's not comfortable having conversations with players around you're not playing this week, but you have to give them a reasoning why they're not playing. Okay, sometimes, like for example, this week just gone, like the Harvey Norman girls played Monday night.
Yeah.
We've got to name our team next day, and then we've had a win. Like it's just the assumption is you roll with the same team. Like it's how it works. But then you might have an injury or so. That's how it works, sort of thing. But yeah, you got to construct your conversations when it comes to coaching. Especially, you're not there to kill confidence or anything like that, but you've got to give them constructive feedback as well.
And you want them to use that as a bit of a fire to try and get back. Yeah. As well as if you swapping people out and all that sort of stuff. You don't want to completely kill their confidence, but get them to see that, they're all thereabouts. Yeah. They've just got to kick it up a notch, It's I try to be as transparent as possible with the group, and honest as possible. Like coaching, like at an elite level, they all want to play NRLW or NRL. Yeah. The reality is they can't.
Yeah.
So
there's 17 spots. Yeah.
So they've got to understand. Sometimes it's an understanding the pecking order. People have built up enough respect where they might get a bit more, not leniency, but they might have a couple of.
There's runs on the board, and a bad game's out of character.
And out of character. Things like that. You work out. Oh, that's not the norm for them to miss X amount of tackles.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's a consistent thing, 2, 3, 4 weeks, you go, right, we've got a problem here.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we fix that?
Yeah. That's it's funny because people, I think, would see, a game, the 80-minute game, the coach in the box, going off his head, all that sort of stuff. The game is what? Probably 10% of the whole picture, 20% of the whole picture, with all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes and all the conversations you're talking about, all the strategies, all the X's and O's, all the fitness stuff, all the staff stuff, making sure the girls are in the right mindset. Like it would be, there's a lot that goes on. Yeah,
it's just like, and then in the female game, you're sort of under-resourced too. So, like just the amount of conversations. Like some days, as we mentioned before,
you just never stop talking.
You never stop having a conversation. You go, well, where's my day gone?
Yeah.
But sometimes I've got to close my door and lock myself away because in the day, the players are the priority.
Yeah.
So especially Monday, Tuesdays where you're doing reviews, individual reviews, team reviews, and working out, righto, we're rolling with the same team. Or we've got HIA, we've got an injury, who's coming in, who's played well, who hasn't played well, or There's so
and then
much
podcasts come knocking on your door wanting to have a chat for an hour.
Secretly, this is just his way of being like, I got dragged in here. I have work to be doing, and I'm on your stupid podcast. Let me get back to my job.
Before we let you go, mate, obviously this is so, you had your full year last year at the Cows. We jokingly said the only team that we lost to was the team that you coached last year, which, hey, Pari's a genius. If you're going to get someone to come in, well, why don't we get the guy that beat us, the other guy that beat us last year? That makes sense.
I was actually going to ask that is what was the secret sauce that got the win over us?
Kira Dibb had a blinder that day.
Honestly, we didn't start well.
Sheridan scored in the corner first set. Yeah. We were down at their end.
So when I say we, obviously when I was employed at the Cowboys, but
you guys just didn't give up. I think Kira kicked a 40-30.
Yeah.
We may have been up 10-0 or 12-0.
Yeah.
And that really got you guys on the front foot. And then,
so what happened was we had a couple of HIAs, which allowed us to have more interchange, if you can understand that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once they got cleared to come back,
gotcha.
They were getting spurts of rest. So
because it's 15 minutes in real time that they've got to be off the field.
So basically, we had technically not counting. We might have had, instead of having 10 interchanges, we might have been able to have 12, 13, 14. That's why we came over the top of them, I think, in the end. When it was a hot day, so we were used to being in the hot weather.
Yeah.
I remember
that was really hot.
Really hot day. So I put that one, they executed on the day, and but then I think a couple of HIAs actually helped the interchange.
Yeah.
So the secret sauce is just knock your players in the head.
Sometimes it works the other way. Like HIA the other night, it knocked us out of whack a little bit, but in the end, you got to deal with it.
Yeah, correct. Well, mate, thanks for coming in.
Pleasure.
What a chat.
Thanks for giving us the insight.
Yeah, 100%. We learned about the recce being the spot to be. The state of the NRLW game. We talked about short side raids. We hit it all.
No, pleasure. Anytime.
Awesome.
Just not for the next couple of weeks. We'll be like, do you want to come back? He's like, I'm busy.
We'll wait till the end of the year when we've got some good news to talk about. We'll get back in.
Let's hope.
Yeah. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming.
All right, picture this, Lav. Sunday Arvo, McDonald Jones. You're with all your good mates. It's about 5 p.m. It's half time. It's golden hour. The sun's gone behind the Western Grandstand. The Knights are up 18-0. To me, that's heaven. Do you reckon that's heaven?
It sounds pretty close. And do you know the best way to get there?
How?
Is by purchasing a Gen K membership today.
You can score access to 3 games of your choice on the hill with a Gen K membership. Plus, look at this guy. Limited edition Pie Guy corduroy.
It is an incredible hat. 10 out of 10.
I didn't check the size or the back bit before I put it on then.
It's a bit tight.
It fits perfect.
Oh, it fits perfect?
Out of the box. Bang.
It looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Not just that, you can get discounts on a whole bunch of things, tickets, merchandise, food and beverage, and you can get a digital membership card. So you can just scan straight into McDonald Jones.
If you lock in your membership now, you can choose which games you want to come along to, including our upcoming doubleheader with our NRL and NRLW squads.
Where else would you want to be?
Where else would you want to be, man? Great hat, great mates, the footy, Gen K, get on board, up the Knights.
Up the Knights. Join the crew today at knightshub.com.au. Welcome back to Knights HQ. How are you feeling after that? What a guy.
What a guy. I was about to say the exact same thing. Ben's the man, dude.
I reckon we've got to take him. We're going to go to the recce with him.
Yeah.
That's going to be Mad Monday this year. We're going to the recce.
I'm sure the staff at the recce do listen. So, this is our formal, invitation for ourselves. Back to
footy?
Yes. We've really got ourselves a great replacement in Ben.
Oh, yeah. Big fan.
He's
the fitness. That was my big takeaway this week. I was sitting there watching, and all the girls had said, we're fitter than we've ever been. And I was like, but we've won 2 premierships. We can't be that unfit.
Yeah.
And then watching the difference.
It showed in our defensive resolve 100%. Like the Roosters threw everything at us. And
the amount of times I've watched that CJ ragdoll on Taryn Aiken. Put a screen on my gravestone and just play that on repeat. Yeah.
Shanice on Jasmine Strange too. That was unreal.
Oh yeah.
Right at the end of the half too. Going in at 10-0 was a lot different than going in at 10-6 mentally for both sides. So to stop that was unreal. But yeah, no, the girls are looking good. The first game was unreal. As you said, Canberra are going to be a good opponent. It's always hard to play Canberra in Canberra, just generally. So I think we're in for a good game of footy. But if our girls show their defensive resolve as they did, and just, there was a few errors in our attack, and I think that's just ring rust. Yeah, 100%. So I think if they clean that up, there's no reason why we can't be 2 from 2 after this weekend.
I'm really excited for it.
Well, you can follow us on social media. We have 2 social media accounts for the podcast. At Knights HQ.
Yep. And
at NRL Knights.
NRL Knights.
For all official club business. This is also on YouTube.
For all of the tomfoolery, you can follow at Knights HQ.
NRL Knights is for all the stuff that you want to...
Yeah. We're the mullet at the back. Just
yeah, correct.
Party.
That is a great analogy. Good on you, Lav.
Thought that one on myself. Oh. What can I say?
YouTube. Subscribe. Notification bells. Leave a comment.
Give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts.
Yes, and leave a review. All podcast platforms. Spotify, Apple.
Do it everywhere. If you do all of the things, we'll give you nothing, but... We'll be
Knights HQ. Thanks, Lav.
Thanks, Jay.
See you on the next one.
Pleasure doing business with you.
See you on the next one.